Welcome back to Briggs on Books. I'm Mike Briggs, your host of the show. We're here to help you pick your next book you want to read. Check this one out. Before you decide on anything, first check out Adam and Leonora. And by the way, not only do I have the book cover here, I also have the author of the book. See if I can find her. There she is, Carol Jameson. Welcome, Carol.
Hi, Mike. Thank you.
Now, by the way, tell our viewers where you are right now.
I'm in Richmond, California, which is in the East Bay, across from San Francisco and next to Berkeley and Albany.
Yeah, and not to touch on a sore point, you guys used to have baseball and football right in that area, the Oakland Raiders and Oakland A's, but they're all gone, I guess.
No more Oakland A's. It's very sad.
Yeah. Carol, tell us about your book. It's a novel, right? Adam and Leonora?
It's a novel. It's about Leonora, who is an artist and a researcher of dreams, who has been drawn to and obsessed by a reclusive artist that lives in the Santa Cruz Hills, Adam Sinclair. And she's been walking by his studio for many, many years. And one day she gets up the courage to go knock on his door. And he opens the door and says, "How do you do?" And she says, "How do you do?" And there's an immediate connection
Wow.
between the two of them.
Yeah.
So he welcomes her into her home. And then from there, the friendship develops.
Mm-hmm.
She tells part of the story, and then there are many other voices that tell the story. His wife, Pauline, is a writer, and she tells the story from New York City in the 40s and Mexico in the 40s. And then Mimi Sassier is his lover and mistress from 1930s Paris, who follows him to LA. And so there are chapters where she tells the story.
Mm.
And I also bring in historical figures from the Surrealist movements because the book is loosely based on Gordon Onslow Ford,
Mm-hmm.
the Surrealist painter.
Yeah.
And so I made up most of it. It's fiction, but there are Surrealist characters that come in. Andre Breton makes an appearance many, many times and quotes from his manifesto. Remedios Varo is a Surrealist painter in Mexico. She comes in and she's a confidant and
Mm-hmm.
friend to Pauline. And then Wolfgang Pollen comes into the story too on the Artista Hacienda with Pauline and Remedios.
Wow.
So it's a blend of history
Mm-hmm.
and fiction. I also bring in dreams. I use my dreams in the novel as a conduit into the characters' psychics and bring a little bit of surrealism into it that way.
Yeah, amazing. That's
Yeah,
amazing. So it jumps time periods from pretty much modern times to, New York to Paris and before the wars and things like that.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, let me ask you this. We have so many viewers who are writing their book and haven't been
Hmm.
able to finish. Congratulations, by the way, because you did. Not only did you finish writing and
Right.
decide you're done and you got it published and everything,
Yes.
um, I like to talk about the process of the author.
Hmm.
Did you do a lot of research? It seems like there's a lot of time frames and periods in there.
I did end up doing a lot of research, and mostly I did enough research to get a foundation for the novel, and
Huh.
then I purposely didn't do any more research because I didn't want it to inform my fiction.
Mm.
So I wanted to let my imagination take that little germ of the research and then go from there.
I,
So,
I'd imagine the real characters, you had to
yes.
research on them as well. Yeah.
A little bit. I would look at pictures of Andre Breton and I would read his manifesto, and then I heard his voice in my head.
That's great.
And so that voice comes into the novel now. I don't know if he really sounded like that or not, but I definitely heard him when I was writing. So
What would you call the genre of the book?
I would call it literary fiction. You might call it historical fiction and maybe even romance.
Romance.
Um, so it can cross a lot of different genres, I think, and appeal to a pretty broad audience, I think, of people that are interested in reading about art and the creative process and dreams and self-discovery and all of those big literary themes.
I love books that jump, time frames and
Hmm.
telling the story uh, from another perspective. Is that hard to
Right.
track? Do you have a way of keeping track of where you are and when?
Well, I did a reading at Books Inc. this summer, and one of the audience members said, "Did you make an outline?"
Yeah,
And I said, "Well, no, I tried."
sure, yeah.
And I found the outline too confining. But what I would do is I would write a draft, and then I would make an outline from the draft
Uh-huh.
and make sure I was on track
Yeah,
with the times. And then I had some wonderful help with copy editors who
yeah.
would catch things for me, like, oh, this singer actually wasn't even alive when you have her in the book. I'm like, thank you.
Yeah, thank goodness for editors that
Yes,
have
thank
that kind of
goodness.
insight.
Yes.
Carol, we have your web address. By the way, you have the best web address I've ever seen, caroljameson.com. I mean,
Easy peasy,
I've already
right?
memorized it. If our viewers visit your site, what are they going to find there?
They'll find description of the novel. They'll find praise for the novel. I had some really nice blurbs from Jonathan Lethem, the best-selling New York author. Summer Brenner wrote a beautiful blurb for it.
That's
You'll
nice.
also find resources about the characters in the novel. So, for instance, Andre Breton's manifesto is on the website. Remedios Faro's art, I found a video of her art. So there's a little YouTube video of her surrealist art. There's a video of Rachmaninoff's Prelude in C sharp minor
Yeah.
that comes into one of the dreams in the book. And then also there is a page about working with me. So if anybody's interested in hiring me to coach them through their writing,
Hmm.
from the very germ of an idea up through that kind of big developmental editing, I'm I'm really interested in working with writers
Yeah.
too.
Uh, the, the biggest thing I've learned from doing this show, which we've been doing since 2008, is you can write a book. You don't have to be the best writer. You don't even have to be the best finisher. Just feel free to reach out and let people help you. And
Exactly. It's a collaborative process. I think people have this idea that, oh, I'm going to be alone in my room, isolated from all of humanity for 10 years while I write this book. And, certainly there's some of that, but I mean, it's not the bulk of it by a long
yeah,
shot. That I had my sister actually, she was also writing a novel at the same time. We would meet every Saturday afternoon on
right.
Zoom and share our chapters, and she would give me feedback. I would give her
Hmm.
feedback. And it was so helpful to get that feedback as I was drafting the novel.
Yeah.
She saw things that I never would have seen, and vice versa, I think. Yeah.
Well, it's great that you're available to do that. You're certainly qualified to be that
Right.
person. And I'm excited to get into this book. I normally read nonfiction, but more and more I read historical fiction because it's
Cool.
just more fun. It's more fun.
Yeah, it is fun.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And I like to read, you said Hills Above where? San Jose or Santa Barbara?
Um, Santa Cruz.
Santa Cruz.
Yes.
Yeah.
Although there is some scenes in Santa Barbara and LA too. So it kind of travels all over, from, like you said, New York, Mexico,
Right.
LA, Santa Cruz, and different time periods and different voices. So.
They're signaling me. They're giving me the signal, Carol. End it, Mike. But you're just fascinating. I love talking to you. I just want to give you a minute. Any last thoughts you want to share with our audience about the?
Um, I would just say that this book would be really a treat for anybody that's kind of tired of our technological alienating world, that we're always on the
Yeah,
phone, we're always on Zoom.
yeah.
And if
Here
you
we
want
are.
to dive into a world where that is put aside for a moment and discover through the creative process and through art and the passion around art, what that can help with your own kinds of purpose in life and self-discovery.
Yeah, that is great. By the way, speaking of, it's a good getaway from technology. What formats are your book? Is it on the Kindle and?
It's on the Kindle. It's in the Libby library
Mhm.
in Contra Costa. It's also in hardcover.
Nice.
So you
Analog.
can
We call
buy it
that
on
analog.
Amazon and Bookshop, right? Yeah. So any format you want, it's there.
It
And
will it be in audio?
I'm working on audio.
Okay,
My
that's good.
partner has a wonderful voice. He's
Ah,
an actor, and so
perfect.
I've got to nudge him a little bit
Yeah.
to get to work on that.
I
So
just at my age, it's getting harder and harder to see the print on the page, and I'm just getting
yes.
into audio, and I'm reading more books that way than I ever have.
Right.
So,
I think it's a really growing market, and it would be really fun to hear it too.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
Carol, I want you to come on again. By the way, are you working on another book? You got another one going?
I am working on another book with no research. So
Nice.
it's based on my experiences as a soda jerk in Santa Cruz in the 1980s at Polar Bear Ice Cream and all of the shenanigans there.
A lot of shenanigans. I bet there were a lot.
There
Thank
were a
you.
lot.
Oh, let me see. I always, offer the authors anything else you want to say. They never say, buy my book, buy my book. So I'll say it for Carol. Don't go wherever you buy it, Amazon, wherever you buy books. Don't go click one time. I always order 5 of anything I buy because I like to give books away. I have to go to dinner parties and stuff. I like to take a gift, and also I like all my friends reading what I'm reading. So
Yes,
order a stack of them and give them away. There, I
right.
said it for you, Carol.
Thank you, Mike.
And for our
Yeah.
viewers, don't go anywhere because we have another author coming up right after this, and we'll be right back.